It's loud and there's life in there. If my kid's going to freak out, nobody's going to know about it because you're just meshing with the environment.
Hey y'all, it's LJ here, owner and founder of Smart Moms Plan Disney and Smart Moms Travel. We are so glad you're here for another episode of the Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast. Now, here's your host, Allie.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast. I am Allie. I am here today joined by Becki and Karla. So excited to be here with you guys. What's up?
Greetings.
We are three foodies talking about food. We have learned just along the way that Smarties are foodies too. Everybody loves a good episode about Disney dining. And I'm going to debunk a myth on today's episode. But before we dig in, I was thinking about how recently when we were doing a table service episode for one of the other parks, I was talking about how at home, we don't eat like that. Like we don't eat as well. The food isn't as good, whatever. And we eat out so much, but then when I'm at Disney and I'm eating at these table service restaurants, in my brain somewhere, I classify that as something different. Like I'm not eating out, but I really am. You know what I mean? Do you all, when you're at home, do you cook most of your meals? Or what do you do during the week? How do you feed your family? How do you eat?
I bet Karla and I have very different answers, and I'm just going to stop for a second. I wish you could see Karla. She is sitting in her closet with a parka on, and oh my gosh. Okay.
Wait. Let me tell you what degrees it is outside in Florida today. What's the date? It is January 10th. It's 56 degrees.
That's freezing.
But I could open my app right now, and you know what degree it says?
4.
1.
I wouldn't even be alive.
That feels like? Is that a
No.
or an actual?
No, it's an actual. It's 1. We're in the middle of the biggest snowstorm we've had as we're sitting recording this. Biggest snowstorm we've had in years. 2 days ago, we got pummeled. I think we got 10 inches. And today we're expected to get maybe 5 to 6 more. It's crazy.
Does it always ever make you wonder, like, why do people live in the places that they live? Like, I think about New Orleans. I love the city of New Orleans. But when I think how the levee system has to keep them from flooding on the regular, Miami too. Fort Lauderdale's underwater so often. Why do we choose to live in places that give us these kinds of extremes? Like it's crazy.
I love it. I love it. I'm loving the snow. We are, again, as we record this, because we record a little early, my kids are on the most extended break they've ever had. Like they've only been back to school for a day, and it's another snow day around here. So I don't know. I love it. I'm looking out, and it's funny to see Karla in her big parka because you should see outside my window. It's snow, just a whole ruler deep of snow everywhere. My pool has ice all over the cover. I mean, it's wild.
I did see Zan's message the other day on Facebook asking for somebody with a snowblower because you guys couldn't get to the bus stop. Like, I wouldn't even know what to do.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't do anything.
Well, we paid a service a silly amount of money, which now we realize was too much money to come help us because we have a very long driveway and a pretty big perimeter of sidewalk. And they came and they did our driveway and they did our front walk, but we did not realize they didn't do our front sidewalk, which they did tell us they were going to do, but it's fine. And so we let our kids out for the bus. Yeah. And I mean, they weren't wearing their snow boots to school. So they had to like walk through the snow to get on the bus. Anyway, our neighbor came and did it for us, which was really nice. That's why I live where I live. I've got neighbors that just come down with snowblowers and fix up my yard.
One of the thousands of reasons why we chose to move was I spent 35 years shoveling snow in Utah. And I would always be that neighbor that would go, and if I'm clearing my sidewalk, I'm just going to keep going and work on my neighbors as well, because that's just the neighborly thing to do. And I was tired of the snow. Once in a while, I think it would be nice to look out and see nice fresh snow. But 10 hours after that nice fresh snow comes the yucky, murky, dirty snow from car pollution, from all of the things. And I'm just like,
I do remember that. I remember living in Colorado and having that like first glimpse out the window on a snowy morning and it being so majestic and beautiful. And then like coming home from work that day and it being muddy and brown and gross. And it was awful.
yeah.
But so pretty when it happens.
Yeah, I think about that as well because right now, I mean, There are so many trees out beyond where I'm looking, and it really looks like a winter forest. Like it's just like bare trees and snow, and it's so pretty. And then as it melts, it does get pretty gross. But like I said, we're gonna get hit again today, so we're really far off from that point. And my son had a classmate that built a. Are your kids? Your kids might be too old to be into Minecraft, or were they ever?
Yeah, my son still plays.
Kids play as well, and Sean teaches a Minecraft class in his
Oh,
school.
okay. Well,
Minecraft
my
online.
son needs to sign up for that because he loves it, and he saw his classmate made this like Minecraft snowman out of cardboard boxes and then peeled the boxes off, and so we have big plans to do that later today. But I busted my eardrum, which the two of you know. It's been a very painful experience, and then that brought on vertigo, and I went sledding with this going on. Not the vertigo, because I think that would have been really bad, but the eardrum. But I got to figure out today with everything. I got to go build this Minecraft snowman. Like it's top priority.
That sounds like so much fun. I love the imagination of kids. And while we don't really understand Minecraft because it's like, why do you want to watch something that's in this terrible of graphics? The kids don't care. They don't care. They love it. Roblox, Minecraft.
Yeah, yeah, they love it. They love both of those. Well, yeah. Anyway, that's our big to-do list for the snow is to get that Minecraft man done. Which my son does have a friend over right now, so maybe they'll just go out and do it, and then they can show me the finished product, which should also be fine with me. Okay. Anyway, how do you feed your family? Do you eat out? Do you eat in? What's up? How do you do it when you're at home?
I have kind of a binding story between weather and food. The kids, it was cold, Florida cold. And they're like, "Can we have chili?" And so I made chili and they ate it and they're like, "Oh my gosh, mom, this is amazing. What did you do?" They know that I am not the person who cooks. Sean literally does probably 80% of the cooking in our house. It was called Bear Creek Darn Good Chili. And it's literally just like open the bag, boil, let sit.
Stop it.
I am not the chef, but it was so good. It was really, really delicious.
We actually do Zan makes most of the food that she cooks from scratch, and she's definitely the cook in the family. She's so good. If she had time to cook every day, like it would be amazing, but she doesn't. When she does cook, it's great. And she will make chili from scratch, but we also will buy chili from GFS. You guys have that where you live? It's like a restaurant supply store. And back when we used to own a bakery, we would get our bulk sugar and flour and things that we needed for our bakery from there. So we learned a little bit about just some of the food they also sell. They have this chili and it's really good. Sometimes for chili, that's what we do. We just throw that in the crock pot.
Thought you were gonna start an internet war about Skyline chili.
Oh, well, Skyline chili is a completely different classification of chili. Those of you that don't know, that is Cincinnati chili. Where I'm from, we eat just, I would eat Skyline chili with a spoon. That is not the way it's intended. You do pour it over a hot dog or over most popularly spaghetti. More recently, you can put it in tortilla shell. That's called a chilito.
Mm.
There are all different ways to eat Skyline chili. It is a Cincinnati staple. It is my favorite food. I don't classify it as cold weather chili. You know, when it's really cold, I'm not like, get me a pot of Skyline. That's just every day, get me a pot of Skyline. The type of chili when it's cold is probably the same type of chili y'all are thinking, but the superior chili in life is, in fact, chili spaghetti from Skyline. Put some habanero cheese on top. It's like the best thing you could ever eat. And if you're visiting Disney World, a Cincinnati local has just opened a Skyline chili like 5 miles from property. So
Yeah, in that Flamingo Crossing area.
yeah, you can see exactly what I'm talking about. You can get your own Skyline, get it DoorDash or something straight after a long park day. That's what I'm talking about.
I think it's funny because chili for Floridians, it's like your boots with the fur. Like you only get to take it out once a year. You get to wear your boots with the fur. And it's the same with chili. Like it drops below 71 degrees and it's like, oh, this is chilly weather. Like we're
Yeah.
making chili tonight.
Literally.
Yeah, this is why I have to be so clear and say Skyline chili is any weather chili. And then cold weather chili is a different thing. It's a different brand. And
But the
I
reason I even brought Skyline up, and Allie knows this, so one of the first times that our whole team got together was super late. I don't even remember what time you were like, I'm bringing this chili. I'm gonna convince you guys this is the best thing on earth. And Allie pulls out these giant cans of chili, and it's like midnight. And we're all meeting each other for the first time. And here's little Allie trying to convince us that this is going to be amazing. And we all try it. and we're
Yeah.
like, "Wah," like, "What is this?" It had chocolate or cinnamon or coffee or some
Mm.
just odd flavor, right? But in the same room is Stacy from Alabama with a can of boiled peanuts.
Bold.
Bold nuts.
So and let me tell you guys, she didn't heat them up. She didn't season them. She literally, Allie's like gagging like I did when my dog barked in my closet, but she opened the can and was putting her fingers in the can, handing out cold green boiled peanuts. And I am from the South. I love boiled peanuts. Going to Georgia and you stop at a stand, they're great. Cajun, amazing. Out of a can, cold, from Stacy from Alabama in a beautiful Disney resort hotel room. Right after Allie convinced us that Skyline, or tried to convince us that Skyline chili was the bomb. I was about to just quit, just be done with the whole thing.
Everybody was a trooper too. And we had a 2-bedroom villa at Saratoga. So we had the full kitchen. And I actually did bring cans, and I brought spaghetti noodles too. I'm pretty sure I brought a box of noodles.
Did.
And
Mhm.
I
I think
boiled the
you
noodles.
did.
Yeah, I boiled the noodles. I made it all the way it was intended. I did not have cheese or crackers, and that was my downfall. I could not provide the cheese and cracker experience. And that hurt. I think that
In-
hurt Skyline in the long run.
Including cheese. Like they don't include cheese. They include like capital
Amount.
Cheese cheese. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
a
yeah.
oh
mound.
my gosh. I have to have my skyline chili on a baked potato. That is the only way I'm going to eat it. And
Love
It
it.
does sound
truly,
pretty good. I feel like I could
Oh.
like this. I just didn't like it that night, okay?
That's just because I was trying to get. If Becki was trying to get you to eat it, you'd probably be like, "This stuff is great." I think we're all gonna be together, and pretty soon, I think we'll definitely have to just do a DoorDash order. I'll order Skyline a couple different ways, and we'll all just go to town, and then we'll see if it's better than the food at Animal Kingdom, which, arguably, I kind of feel like Skyline could fit in here. It's got really unique flavor. It's really out there and adventurous. I mean, we could just plop a Skyline right on in Animal Kingdom, and I don't think it would not fit.
definitely with the flavors. Sure.
Well, we are talking. Y'all still never told me if you feed your family with takeout or cooking, but Sean cooks, Zan
We
cooks.
cook, we go out once a week, I would say, but it's like it's survival mode. It's like I eat pretty healthy and my husband eats healthy and my kids, we try to feed them healthy, but meat with starch and, veggies, and we try to just make it work. It's nothing exciting.
Yeah. I don't like to cook, and I don't have a ton of time, and I know that's an excuse. I always know that because you can make time to make a meal. Zan is the one that cooks, and if she can't cook, it's usually takeout or Skyline. Okay, we are going to talk about table service today at Animal Kingdom, and we've been doing this park by park on the podcast. We've been doing report cards and kind of giving star ratings to different table service meals within the park. So I'm going to review that system, but I want to talk about first how everybody says Epcot is the most foodie park, and I want to talk about that after we take a quick break. This episode of the Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast is brought to you by BabyQuip, the #1 baby gear rental service across the US, Canada, and beyond. There is nothing more difficult for my family with 3 young kiddos than when we are traveling. We're just out of rhythm without our things. We just feel out of step, and our kids feel off. It can make our vacation feel so much more stressful than it needs to. With a wide range of baby and toddler equipment available, including cribs, strollers, car seats, toys, and more, BabyQuip helps give us some of that normalcy that our kids crave and we need as parents when we are away from home. When they're happy, we're happy. And by using local quality providers that are often moms, dads, and grandparents just like us and you smarties that are listening today, BabyQuip makes sure that you are working with somebody who understands the needs of your family firsthand. If you need it, they have it. All products follow strict cleanliness and safety protocols and are also insured to give you that extra peace of mind that you need to really enjoy your vacation. With convenient delivery to your location, whether it's a home, a hotel, a vacation rental, wherever you're calling, home away from home, they've got you covered. Baby Quip is available in over 1,500 cities, making it accessible. So whether you're heading to Disney World, Disneyland, or another travel destination, Baby Quip will be there for you. With their easy-to-use online platform, you don't have to stress about getting your products. Head to babyquip.com. Use code SMPOD, that's SMPOD, to get $30 off of any order of $150 or more. That's babyquip.com. Pack light, travel happy. Okay, I'm excited to dig in and talk about these restaurants. So when you're thinking about Disney World and you're thinking about the four parks, it's fair to say that Epcot is looked at as by far the number one foodie park. Would you both agree with that?
Yes, that would be the general consensus. And I think the number of dining options there is probably why people think that.
Yeah. And I'm not necessarily here to say I disagree with that. First of all, yeah, there are like 4 times the amount of sit-down restaurants, table service at Epcot compared to Animal.
Wait a
And
second. Wait a second. I disagree with it. So I'll say it. I think that Epcot is the foodie park, but based on their festival booths.
Mm.
Because really I mean, we just did the episode on the table service. Like when I think of table service there, do I go out of my way, to have table service when I'm Epcot? Probably not. When I think of Epcot, I think, oh, I want to explore the festival booths, try a bunch of different things as opposed to sitting down. So I think when you're comparing the two, I don't know. I mean, we're going to make a case for it today, but I think that Animal Kingdom far surpasses any of the other four parks when it comes to table service. And maybe that's because there's only four. And, 3 of the 4 really knocked it out of the park on flavor.
Mhm.
yeah, flavor is most specifically what I'm thinking of, because it's like when you're talking about being a foodie and really zeroing in on food, is it variety that matters most or is it flavor that matters most? And I mean, every Epcot restaurant, we already did that episode. You can go back and hear what we had to say about the food and the flavors and things at those restaurants on that episode. Specifically for the conversation about Animal Kingdom, I just think the menus, the food that each restaurant's serving up, they really, really put so much energy and thought into making it food forward. Right? I mean, is that a good way to put it?
Yes, that is a perfect way to explain it.
There's only 4 table service restaurants at Animal Kingdom, which is fine. It does make it a little bit more difficult sometimes to secure those advanced dining reservations at some of these, just because if you want table service, you only have 4 options. And so you're kind of going to have to remember that when you're planning out Animal Kingdom. We're going to be giving them stars and a rating here in this report card, just as we have for the other parks. We have Remy approved. That is going to be the menu itself. Does this menu get approval from us and a star rating? Tiana approved. That's going to be the food quality. So you see the menu looks great. How does that food taste once it actually arrives? Edna approved is going to be the theming of the restaurant. Boo approved is going to be how kid friendly is this restaurant? Will your kids be able to find something they like? Cinderella approved is going to be the length and pacing of the meal. We've talked at length about some meals that take a really, really long time, might make it more difficult for your family to sit through. So we'll talk about that. And then Lumiere approved is our extra spark star. Does it have something extra that just sets it apart from anything else or that makes the experience really, really worth your while? We will add all those stars up, give it a grade, A+, all the way down to a failing grade, and then have that available for our Smarties to reference back to. I think when you are listening to these report card episodes on table service dining, it's really important to not just look at the grade. So if you're like, I really wanted to go to this restaurant, but the Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast gave it a C. Well, that might be okay because maybe it lost points in pacing, or maybe it just didn't get the extra spark star, or maybe the theming could have been a little bit more. But hey, the food is really good. The kids are going to love it. Maybe it has the stars in the areas that are most important to you. So it really makes a huge difference to really listen to which of the factors are important to prioritize for your family, and is the restaurant you're considering going to make that mark. Are you guys ready?
Yep.
Love it.
All right, we're going to dive right in then. I want to start somewhere differently than is on our thing here. I want to start with Tiffin's restaurant. Tiffin's is easy to get to, right? It's kind of right when you walk in, you're heading towards the tree, and then you go left like you're heading into Pandora, sort of over by that Lion King wall, right? Is that what you would say? And then there's Tiffin's.
one of those boring walls at Animal Kingdom
I
for
love that.
Stacy.
I love that wall. Stacy's out of her mind. Yeah, there sits Tiffin's. It's a nice restaurant. It is 2 dining credits on the meal plan, right?
Signature dining, which is kind of usually the clue of that. Karla and I ate here recently, and I didn't know that it's an art gallery. It's a dining experience inside of an art gallery.
Not only is it that, but I don't know if you remember our server telling this. By the way, we had an amazing server. I think his name was Mike, but he looked like Joe Road. Like, if you don't know who Joe Road is, Joe Road was the lead Imagineer for Animal Kingdom. Animal Kingdom was his vision. And I think it really even shows in the restaurant choices, the table service restaurants that we're going to talk about today, but so much so in this part because, like Becky's saying, it's an art gallery. So you're immersed in this museum, per se, of all of these artifacts and beautiful pieces that actually have inspired large parts of the park. I was facing Becki, but behind her were these, I'm going to call them totem poles, but basically these wood trees at one point that were carved into these beautiful animals, which actually inspired the Tree of Life and all the carvings that are shown in that. So yeah, I mean, it's an experience. Some things that sorry to take over, but I'm just so passionate about this restaurant because it's honestly, I think is my favorite restaurant now on property. Some things that I wrote down about it was artful fare. So the art playing into the actual food, elevated. It's an experience. You're not just going there. Don't just go there because you're hungry. Go there for the experience of, the art that's around you and the art in food form. A globe-trotting menu. So this is going to be like Pan Asian, African flavors, definitely flavor forward. I was super impressed, obviously. What did you think, Becki?
Yeah, my takeaway from it was that food was amazing. Everything that we tried was like, wow, that was so good. But also walking away, besides the art, because I am a very passionate lover of the arts, I walked away feeling like I just had a really good heart to heart conversation with Karla. And it didn't feel like anybody was over listening to us. It didn't feel like it was so loud that we had to talk loud. Like, it was just a very intimate, amazing, you would never know that you were sitting in a theme park at that restaurant.
Yeah, and that is why it's 2 dining credits. You have both spoken so much into what the experience is. You don't just go because you're hungry. You go because this is something that's very special located within Disney World, and it's sort of a hidden gem. A lot of people don't know about it, and if they do know about it, they just know that it's a restaurant. They don't realize what an elaborate and beautiful experience it is.
Becki ordered a salad, which was still a delicious salad. I ordered, and this is very much out of my comfort zone. This is something that I would want my husband to order, but I wouldn't want to order it because I wouldn't want to deal with it. I ordered a whole fried fish. And it was on a bed of rice that had like 13 ingredients of pomegranate seeds, and I don't even remember fully, but when I say the best meal that maybe of my life, I don't know. It was just stunning and delicious, and I can't say enough great things about it. And I can't wait to experience it again.
Mhm.
This restaurant absolutely gets Remy approval, right? I mean, no arguments there, right?
100. Yes.
Yeah, it gets Remy approval. The menu is elaborate, well thought out, cohesive to what's going on. As Karla already said, the best meal of her life. It obviously is going to get a Tiana approval as well for being not only a great menu, but great quality once it does arrive. Okay, Edna theming, hands down. I love park history. I just love any sort of anything that shows me how we got to where we are in these parks.
Mhm.
If you can take and you can put a restaurant experience and theme it around the art of the park and why the park is art, that is a perfect, in my opinion, Every park should have that.
Okay, do you remember, sorry to interrupt, Allie. Do you
No, you're
remember
good.
the room we went in at the end? So there's like these little rooms off to the side and they're just, additional gallery space. I'm assuming they do private events or something in there. But there was a room inspired by it was like pictures and maps of people that have conquered Everest.
Mhm.
And some of the artwork in there, I mean, you could see it thinking about when you're over in Asia and you're getting ready to go on Everest, the ride. That's where all those flags that hang down were in some of those art pieces. And I don't know, it was really a stunning experience.
Truly.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I mean, I wasn't there, but I agree with your assessment. Okay, this approval, I always have a hard time every episode with this, and it's the boo approval. Because I really think it's important how you look at this. At Disney World, everything is kid friendly, right? So when we look at if we're going to give something a boo approval, we look at it through a couple different lenses. Number one, would you enjoy this one more without your kids, but could you enjoy it with them? I think the answer to that for Tiffin's is yes, right? Like you could absolutely enjoy this more to go at a leisure pace and really absorb what is going on in the restaurant. If you have like kids that are antsy and want to keep moving, what do you think?
I think this is a good place to introduce the idea of Nomad Lounge because Nomad Lounge is not a part. It's not Tiffin's. It's different. It's a lounge. But I personally think that as somebody who was not a drinker growing up, alcohol was not a part of me. In my head, a lounge meant a bar. Disney lounges are very different than that. And this lounge, the Nomad Lounge, that is attached to Tiffin's. In fact, to get to some of the art gallery rooms, you have to walk through Nomad Lounge to get to it. I think if I had kids, I would be more drawn to let's try to get a table at Nomad Lounge than bring my kid to Tiffin's. But I don't think that any kid would be disappointed. Like there's plenty of things for them to see, do, but it is much quieter. If that's going to cause you stress that your kid's being loud, that's not the scene for them.
And I'm not sure the menu, I would imagine that the menu would be sort of a turnoff for kids. I'm gonna just venture out and just say it's not boo approved. Can you take your kids there? Yes. Should you or should you leave it as more of that just really special experience with a friend or a partner or whatever? Yeah, maybe you should. And rightfully so. You're in a theme park. If you're with your family or if you're not with your family, I just think that that time could be really sacred, and what a beautiful place to do it in.
Yeah, I mean, even multi-generational trips we've taken, grandparents might take the kids while just a couple of us adults will go. I mean, that is the type of experience I want here. I like the way you phrased it, Karla. Could you take your kids? Of course, it's Disney World. You could take your kids anywhere except for like Trader Sam's after hours, you know? Otherwise, of course they can go. But I agree with you. I think we're going to leave that one off.
You know what I wanna compare it to, and maybe I shouldn't, but, like, because you are at a theme park, it's like, would I want to wear tank tops and some mesh shorts into this restaurant? It's like, I can because it's Disney, but I wanna, like, preserve it and give it the respect that it deserves type thing. N not saying, like, don't go in there because you're wearing something, specific, but I don't know what I'm trying to say, but
It's a time and place. Do you want to wear high heels to the park?
No.
Maybe for fashion purposes, but should you? Probably not.
Definitely not. How'd y'all feel about the pacing?
that was totally fine. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I agree, and the time to actually dig into what is surrounding you along with your food, I think it's wonderful. And then the extra spark. Do we think that Nomad Lounge, I mean, Becky, you briefly touched on it. It's different. It's not the same place as Tiffin's. It's not like if you get a Tiffin's reservation, you get to go to Nomad Lounge. A Nomad Lounge is actually really hard kind of to get into because you have to get your name on a walk-up list. It's the only way to get in. We've done it several times. If you get one of the tables by the water, I mean, it's one of my favorite places in all of Animal Kingdom. They're attached in a building and they are symbiotic kind of, in the sense that I think they even share a kitchen. Does it count as a Lumiere Spark that it has this awesome lounge next door where maybe you can grab a drink before your meal? Or is it just two places that happen to like symbiotically live together?
I think that Nomad Lounge is a perfect addition to Tiffin's. Tiffin's is not necessarily a hard restaurant to get a reservation at because so many people, one, it being a signature restaurant, it's not meant for big families who are just trying to get a meal in the middle of their day kind of idea. So having Nomad Lounge there and being connected, I think is a special spark. It gives you that same similar vibe. But really for me, the spark comes from the art that's in here. The storytelling that is happening inside of this is not like any other restaurant on Disney property.
I
Yeah.
agree with that. That's what I was going to say. The art is the spark, and Nomad is like the bonus.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up the art next, so I'm glad y'all did. I think it gets it. Underrated, or just underknown.
Underknown, maybe underrated, and you can definitely feel that by we were almost in the restaurant by ourselves.
Right.
So, and we kind of went at an odd time. I think we were there at like 2 p.m. So, an off time, but like you mentioned, reservations are pretty easy to come by. So,
Yeah.
it's one of those two things because it's definitely not the quality of the food or the experience. So, I think you're right. It's unknown.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's intimidating.
Yeah.
I was always intimidated by it.
Yeah, it's an easy passerby, and I hope that people listening will indulge and invest and prioritize at least once. Okay, let's have a big shift here, and let's talk about the Rainforest Cafe at Animal Kingdom. I have a big problem with the Rainforest Cafe at Animal Kingdom. I've talked about it before. This is the only circumstance in which a chain restaurant is located inside one of Disney World's theme parks or at one of Disney World's theme parks because it's actually right outside the main gate. I don't know. It kind of feels like a TGI Fridays being placed in the middle of Hollywood Studios to me. When you have something like Tiffin's down the road and around the corner, why are we stopping at the Rainforest Cafe that we could eat at in any other large city or at Disney Springs? Like, this isn't even the only one on property. Have either of you ever eaten at the Rainforest Cafe at Animal Kingdom specifically?
Yes, I've eaten at both Animal Kingdom and Disney Springs Rainforest cafes because it's on my list that I want to eat at every restaurant on Disney
This
property.
is what you were, this
This
is
is
like,
the T-Rex and Rainforest Cafe to me are one and the same, and I know it has its place, and I know there are people who love it, and I love that for them.
Mm-hmm.
But when you were saying if you're just looking for a place to sit down and have a meal, Allie, I think you described that perfectly as a TGI Fridays in Hollywood Studios. That's what this feels like. This is a themed chain restaurant that you can go and eat and move on. It doesn't have
Yeah.
to be anything more than that.
I just think when you can have a memorable meal, and maybe you're eating at every Rainforest Cafe in the country. Maybe that's what you're doing. And this is a big deal restaurant for you. And Katie said on Facebook that I like to yuck people's yum. I absolutely do not.
to be a t-shirt.
I'm like, if you like Rainforest Cafe and that is your jam and that is the level that you want for your meal, I celebrate it. That's fine. I don't necessarily want to go with you, but I will if the conversation's going to be good. Like, it's okay. It's fine.
This is the exception to what you said at the beginning of the episode where like we're going to rate these things and maybe that rating is going to deter you. Our rating for this is not going to be great. This is going to be, you're literally going to go for the experience, but the experience isn't going to be the elevated experience we just described about Tiffin's. The experience is you are going to see fake elephants and real fish, and you're going to wonder what this place looks like if the lights were on. And you're going to eat really expensive chicken tenders. And you're going because you value your kids' experience more than your own.
And that's fine. Although I can think of another restaurant where your kids might have a better experience, but we're not there yet. So I actually think you're going to be surprised though, too. Like, this is going to get some good marks. So let's really look at this. Remy approval is menu and variety. It's a chain. It's typical variety, but is it variety enough to give it a star here?
Yes, it is. Unfortunately.
That's what I'm saying. Like, probably so. Like, is the variety as spectacular and special as Tiffin's? Absolutely not. Is it a large menu where most people in your party can find something they're going to enjoy? Sure thing. Yeah, there's a lot of variety there. Tiana's approval, I absolutely have to say no way.
No.
At Animal Kingdom,
Absolutely
with
not.
all of these, you could get better snacks on the street in Animal Kingdom than you could get food quality at the Rainforest Cafe. This is mass produced. This is less thought out. This is not the food quality of any of the other restaurants we're going to discuss. So that is a no, in my opinion. But if we keep moving down our report card and we get to Edna approval is theming.
Dead on.
That's part of the draw for the Rainforest Cafe, right? Those animatronic animals, the big, what is that, tree frog? The big tree frog mascot of the Rainforest Cafe and the fish. And
maybe I live in a bubble and maybe I am just completely oblivious and have no idea what other people feel about this. But there are people who have strong feelings about Disney, that Disney is fake happiness, which clearly it is not. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of people who flock to this place. But the theming at Rainforest Cafe to me feels like the fakeness that people think Disney is. So while yes, it is themed and it is what Rainforest Cafe is, it feels, if I could describe it as plastic, that's what it feels like to me. It doesn't feel like I'm eating in a rainforest. It feels like I'm eating in 1990 animation. I don't know.
You're so right.
yeah, you are right. I do think it still gets an Edna Mode star. Like, I do think the theming is fine, but I agree with your assessment of it for sure. But here's where I'm saying, like, I love our report card system because I think each meal being broken down into categories is important for families to decide why something is a priority for them. Because the next one, boo approval, this is one of the most boo friendly options in the park, unfortunately, because it is more generic. You know, they're going to like the animatronics, they're going to like the food just fine, and it definitely gets to be boo approved.
And so what you're saying is this is going to score the exact same as Tiffin's.
No, I think it's going to get a little, I think it's going to fall short here because the pacing is fine, right? It's
Yeah.
fine.
I think that pacing is fine. And even speaking to the fact of being able to get a reservation and feeling like you could do it, drop of a hat, you need somewhere to eat and there's no reservations. This is the place that will have reservations. However, if you're considering this for reservations, go get quick service at one of the amazing quick service options.
Anywhere.
Yeah, which we've talked about. We've done a whole episode on the quick service options. There are more quick service options, I think, at Animal Kingdom, right, than table service, and they're delicious. You get a full, satiating meal that is incredible overdoing something like this, in my opinion. And then there's absolutely no extra spark, unless, like I said, you're on like the world tour of Rainforest Cafes and you're checking one off. Like maybe for you, it's an extra spark, but otherwise, no, it's not. I'm sorry. It's too generic. You can find it elsewhere. You can find it 5 minutes away at Disney Springs.
And we looked it up. There's like 17 of them across the country. Do that not when you're at Disney. There's too much.
And one's 12 minutes from Becki.
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
just
2 minutes from Becki.
so close.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to give Rainforest Cafe overall a 4-star rating, which is a B on our scale. If I were just giving a grade flat out, I'd probably fail this restaurant for all the reasons I said, but it does get marks in select areas. And that can kind of show you why people do go there, why it is prioritized by some families, and that's fine, but not my favorite option.
I think we've made it clear that this is not by any means our go-to or where you should go to.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're halfway there. Only 4 options at Disney's Animal Kingdom for sit-down table service. Take a quick break. Hear from a couple friends, other Smart Moms travel agents that are really fun, that while you're scrolling through your phone, you should probably stop and give them a follow, join their Facebook communities or Instagram following, whichever one we are talking about for them here in our Friend Like Me segment. Hey there, girl moms. Go to Facebook and join our friend Jillian at Smart Moms Planning Disney with Girls. She has 3 girls of her own and she knows the ins and outs of going to Disney with girls. Want to meet the princesses? Let her and her 3 little girls show you the way. She has a teenager, a preteen, and a school-age little one. She knows exactly how to plan a great trip for them and she will share it with you. She will have all little girls feeling like princesses. Have a little one that's not into princesses? That's fine. She knows how to plan all of the experiences for you and your little ones. That's Smart Moms Planning Disney with Girls on Facebook. Planning Disney can feel super overwhelming. If that's the case for you, you want to join our friends at Planning Disney for Beginners. There, they tell you tips on things that they wish they knew before they took their first Disney trip, and you can feel comfortable asking the questions that you may still feel unsure about. They have chats specific to the different months of year that you may be traveling, and park-specific ones, so you can ask questions all about your trip with people that are traveling in the same position as you. You can request a packing list when you join their group. That's Planning Disney for Beginners on Facebook, where you are going to become a pro faster than you can imagine. All right, 2 more, and I'm excited about these. I said forever and ever that my favorite Mickey meal is Topolino's Terrace, which is over at the Riviera, and at breakfast it's a Mickey meal. A Tusker House actually might be my favorite. So Tusker House Restaurant inside Animal Kingdom is a character meal. Every park has at least one character meal experience, and Tusker House is the one inside Animal Kingdom. It is a Mickey meal, so you get Mickey in their safari gear, Goofy, Donald, Daisy, yeah. And they're in their safari uniforms. It's so fun. I've talked before about some of my personal experiences I've had at Tusker House with my kids. I love this restaurant. And this is where our bias comes in a little bit, because I really, really love Tusker House. Do you all like Tusker House?
Yes. Did you go for breakfast, or which meal did you go for, Allie?
Years ago, we went for an early dinner. That my daughter was very young when we did that. It was a very long time ago. Most recently, we did breakfast, and that is specifically the meal I'm talking about. I prefer my character meals be breakfast meals. I just like starting my day that way, which I think I've talked about several times on the show. So breakfast is specifically what I'm talking about, but this is one of the, I would say, few character meals that remain character meal all day. A lot are breakfast only. This one is all day, which is awesome. It is a buffet, right? Buffet style. So that makes the menu and the variety an easy check mark to me. Do you all, I mean, the cool thing about it too is you're going to have sections of the buffet that are very mature in flavors. You could get some really unique African style offerings that the more mature palate is going to love. But then down the way, at the kids' corner, you're going to get the Simba waffles at breakfast or the chicken tenders at dinner, the things that your kids are going to like. But while you're enjoying something that is maybe way, 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 way better. I mean, is that your experience as well?
Yes, absolutely. I actually think that they have the best, and maybe this is what pulls it forward for you as the best character meal, is the flavors that are on the buffet. It's sometimes buffet food just feels bland and boring. This is the opposite of that. They have intention in their menu. They have this watermelon salad that has cilantro and other spices on it. Like they blend things that you would never think to blend, and it's just a fusion of awesomeness.
Yeah.
I like that word that you just used, Becki. You said intention. And I think that that just plays into all of Animal Kingdom in general. And this being a character meal compared to some of the character meals at other parks, it just feels very intentional. Honestly, I haven't experienced it, but I've sent many clients there and they've loved it. But the intention of the safari and playing into that theming and the attention with the food, I just think it was so perfectly curated for this park and so intentional, like all of the other details that go into Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, buffet is sometimes like a stay away word for some families for the reasons that Becki mentioned. Bland, not adventurous, and Tusker House manages to beat that mold and do it really well. It's one of the best buffets in all of Disney World. I would tie it with like Boma, which is another African themed type buffet over at Animal Kingdom Lodge. So it kind of reminds me of that, which is also one of my favorite meals. I think it definitely gets a food quality mark for doing a buffet so well. And then what about theming? I mean, do the characters count as theming? Because the theme of the restaurant itself is just sort of like African hut.
I think it does because, and this just feels to be an Animal Kingdom in general, the theming of the entire park is just immersive everywhere. You go into buildings and it's intention in the colors that they're putting in the walls, the texture they put on the walls. I feel like Karla was talking about Joe's vision for what he wanted for this park, and I think that Animal Kingdom is the perfect park for putting theming everywhere, and theming carries true to Tusker House. It feels like
Yeah.
it is in the right place in the park. It feels like the theming carries through. It feels like the characters are in the right outfits at the right place.
Yeah, I agree. Again, it's just like with that intention.
Mhm.
Obviously, this is very boo friendly. Buffet doesn't get, I mean, my son can literally put like French fries on his plate and call it a day. That might not be wallet friendly, because I'm paying buffet price for French fries, but it certainly is going to make him happy. The pacing at this is wonderful because it is a character meal. So you kind of get your food and you can start eating basically immediately. They have that juice. I forget what it's called, what they call theirs. Something that they give you. It's really good. And then you go to the buffet and that all happens really quickly. And then they, as most character meals do, they pace the character interactions really well. So you get to see all of the characters while already enjoying your meal. So if none are right by you, you're already eating, you're not just sitting there. You're never just sitting at this restaurant. You're either already eating or you're experiencing, and you're getting it all done, usually like within an hour, which is, I think, how they try to time the character experiences. So it's a great pace, keeps you focused, keeps you engaged the whole time. And of course, it is a character meal, the only character meal in the park. You get the headliners, part of the Fab Five, in really unique costumes. So, I mean, this restaurant kind of knocks it out of the park for the whole family and eliminates wait time to meet some characters.
Yeah. And like you said, the flavors being amazing like that, I almost feel like if Tiffin sounds like something that would be of interest to you, but you have your young kids with you, I think this would be a good backup plan to let the kids feel like they're included, but you're still getting a more mature palette available while having the options for the kids. It's amazing.
Yeah, so it's going to get that Lumiere extra spark and it's going to come out with perfect mark of an A plus. And I think that's right. I think a lot of people prioritize going to Tusker House when they're going to sit down. I think it does check all these boxes and you can't really go wrong here. Okay, and that's going to bring us to our last table service meal, arguably the most popular meal maybe at Animal Kingdom. This restaurant very hard to get a reservation to. Yak and Yeti. Y'all like Yak and Yeti?
Yum and yum.
And yum and yum and yum.
And all of the
Yak
yum.
and Yeti and yummy.
Uh-huh.
Yes, it's great. It is popular for a reason, hard to get reservation for a reason. This is a shining star moment, I think, for Animal Kingdom as a park. What a great restaurant. Menu, Remy approval. Talk to me about the menu. What do you like about the menu?
Pan Asian fare here, very flavorful. You know what I kind of like? And this sounds super cheesy. And I think they might even have this at the Rainforest Cafe, but I just went to Yak and Yeti recently while I was waiting for Becki, and they have pictures on their menu, which, like I said, I think that that's super cheesy, but I actually love looking at, the different options and what they're supposed to and hopefully going to look like. But some hits for me, I think a must if you like tuna are the pokey tuna nachos. I know that those are a little gone viral type thing. But yeah, like your honey chicken and your fried rice and your noodles and amazing cocktails at the bar. It's for sure a hit.
The Korean fried chicken, like my mouth is salivating sitting here thinking about that. My son loves the rice. I don't remember if he had a rice bowl or if we got it on the side, but either way, he downed that. As a kid who sometimes has a hard time finding something he loves, I want to just go. Can we just go?
Yeah, the rice and noodles that y'all are talking about, that's the best. The lettuce cups, we like those. Really, really good. This place is amazing. It really just is. I think it definitely gets it's a little tougher for kids. They do have like mac and cheese chicken tenders. Yeah, it's fine. Cheeseburger, mini corn dogs. They definitely do it right. We'll get there. Quality food, mouth watering, perfect, so good. Theming, this to me falls in that same category as Becki was talking about for Tusker House being sort of just part of the park. Like this restaurant looks like it's part of the park. No corner in Animal Kingdom was left unturned. Nothing is just generic. Nothing looks like it was just thrown up into the environment in this park. All very, very specific. I think Yak and Yeti definitely falls in that category. You cannot take theming from this park. Like I just would feel really bad doing that to any Imagineer that had anything to do with the theming in this park. This is where it's interesting. Boo friendly. I started touching on the menu. Like Yak and Yeti has some of the best food on Disney property. For adults, you're gonna just eat this up, and some more adventurous kids. Like I don't like that we constantly talk about like kids aren't going to be adventurous. Like maybe you have super adventurous eaters. I actually do have two kids that are pretty adventurous and would order the stir fry noodles, or would order something more authentic to the restaurant. But I have one child that really we have to make sure that mac and cheese or chicken tenders are going to be an option on the menu. And in true Disney fashion, of course, at Yak and Yeti, you can do that for your kiddos.
I think it's not only what they're offering for the kids, but it's also the environment. To me, one of the reasons I said Tiffin's I wouldn't recommend it is because it is quiet and it's kind of sacred in there. Yak and Yeti is the opposite, where it's loud and there's life in there. If my kid's gonna freak out, nobody's going to know about it because, you know,
Yeah.
it's just you're just meshing with the environment. And for that reason, I think, and obviously for the menu choices that they're offering kiddos, I think it would be totally be boo friendly.
Yeah, I mean, you can't say it's not. Absolutely. And I love that you said if my kids freak out, nobody's going to know because, I mean, Disney World, part of the reason we love it is because my kids can melt down and they're just going to blend in with the scenery. Everywhere you look at Disney, somebody's melting down somewhere. Sometimes it's me. We did Hollywood Brown Derby, as we talked about on the Hollywood Studios sit down, and my son had one of his most epic meltdowns. That's part of, I think, why that experience was really rough for me because that restaurant falls a little bit more into that other category that you were saying, Karla. You know what I mean? Like that was not an ideal place for him to be melting down. And he was like 5, he couldn't, or 4 even at the time. He couldn't, that made no difference to him. Whereas Yak and Yeti is much more forgiving environment, I think. Pacing, totally fine, right? Quick meal, you're gonna sit down, you're gonna eat, it's gonna be great, relax, it's gonna be delicious. No issues there. I do wonder here though about Lumiere approval. Do we think Yak and Yeti has an extra spark, or is it just like a
I
fantastic
have an
restaurant?
extra spark for it.
I do.
I do. I think I do too, and I wonder now because we didn't discuss this. I wonder if it's going to be the same if we have the same
Okay.
spark.
Well, there's actually kind of two extra sparks. Number one, and most important for me in my current stage of life, is the bar. So I'm part of the Disney Day Drinkers Club. And if you go up to the bar and say a certain phrase, then you will get a secret bar menu.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Like I said, amazing cocktails. Like you would never think that you were in a Disney theme park or any theme park based on the quality of these cocktails. So that one for me is a total extra spark that they didn't have to have that, but they do. And it's very well known. And the bartender there is very well known by name by many. And then the second spark is the Landry's card that you can get. Have you guys heard of this?
Mm-hmm.
Like Allie mentioned, super hard reservation to get, but I think you can pay. Do you guys know how much it is? $20 or
25, I think.
Yeah.
so Landry's is the company that owns Yak and Yeti. They own T-Rex. They own Rainforest Cafe too, right? So all
Yep.
of these can be hard reservations to get. You can buy into this membership card, and basically you don't have to have a reservation. You flash your membership card like you're going to your Sam's Club, and they're going to put you on the wait list.
Yep, it's awesome. And it is a surefire way. I mean, I have had people that just get the Landry's card just ahead of their trip to make sure that they get this and
Yeah,
T-Rex.
and it's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah, and T-Rex too. I'm glad you mentioned that, even though it's not really what we're talking about, but that is a great way to secure a spot. I was going to say the secret bar menu. I knew you were going to go that direction
Should
too.
we tell the people what to say
No, I don't I
or
don't I
no?
don't know. I don't think we
No?
should.
Okay.
I think you got to do
Message us. Yeah.
some research here. Yeah, message us. Message us today's. You know what? Our Smarties always want the hidden Mickey to be something for them. So if you message us today's hidden Mickey, and just for any smart moms, travel agents listening today, the hidden Mickey will be tired. Tired is today's hidden Mickey. If you message us today's hidden Mickey and you are a Smartie, we will give you that secret word. How about that?
There you go. I like it.
Becki, is that what you were going to say?
No, that's not what I was going to say. I was going to say that the storytelling inside of it, the decorations, we had a really, really amazing waitress when we were there. I wish I had written her name down, but she talked about how all of the decorations that are inside of Yak and Yeti are brought in from these locations to be unique. And they're not just like, they weren't built by Disney. These are authentic decorations to the region. And it just adds
I
another
love about Animal Kingdom.
yes, it's
It's everywhere you look in there.
intentional and authentic. Like, is there
Yeah.
anything more? Like, look at how far we've come from when we started this podcast.
Look at all the adjectives we've come to learn.
I've loved my own personal evolution while hosting this podcast because Karla and I, early days of Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast, we did not like this park. We were very anti Animal Kingdom. And just the more we've talked about it and the more I've quite honestly experienced it, it's so far up there for me now as a place I value and really have come to love. And especially for the food, the environment. And that's why I said I just would feel terrible taking the theming element from any of these restaurants. They all get to be Edna theming because there is so much that went into the theming of this park around every single corner. Whereas in some of my other favorite parks, you might find an area that's just kind of there. I don't feel that in Animal Kingdom at all.
The other thing I wanted to add, and this might be the Lumiere spark, because I was going to talk about the Landry piece and the fact that this is a restaurant inside of Animal Kingdom that is owned by Landry, that is also the owner of Rainforest Cafe, and why Rainforest Cafe does not have an excuse to be something more. Because look at what they did with Yak and Yeti. Amazing food, amazing theming. All of this is proof that they can do amazing things. So why is Rainforest what Rainforest is my question. Yak and Yeti, just trust.
Landry's, burn.
And that's all of them. That's all 4 table service restaurants. And we're going to go back through and review. But before we do, if you are a Smarty listening and you enjoy this show, if you appreciated this episode and all the table service episodes, maybe you've gotten a huge value out of learning about lightning lanes and multipass from our show. If you appreciate any of these episodes that we do every single week hitting your podcast feed and you want to support the pod, a great way to do that would be to join our Patreon community where you're going to get an awesome planning guide delivered straight to you every single month. And you're just going to know that you're helping us put out this content, keep the Disney planning excitement and insider tips alive for you every single week. We value our Diamond Mine members so, so very much. You can find the link in today's show notes to get in there and just support the pod. You know, we love it. Another simple way to really support the Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast would be to share this episode. Share it to your stories, share it to your Facebook feed, share it with a friend who's planning Disney, thinking about planning Disney, just got back from Disney and is missing that Disney magic. Share it with the people in your life because if you're enjoying it, they will probably enjoy it as well. Sharing is one of the most easy ways to support us and ensure that we can keep producing this show for y'all. And of course, wherever you are listening, leave us a 5-star rating, 5 stars, and a review. Recently, Becki 123456. This is not our Becki, different Becki. She said, love this podcast. Thank you for such a great podcast. I started listening this fall to prepare for our family Disney trip this Christmas. I appreciate all the tips and advice for all things WDW. My husband and I went to Disney World for our very first trip on our 7th wedding anniversary. Now, 10 years later, we are taking our 4 kids. I am so excited to get into the parks and experience the magic. Becki, seeing Disney World through your kids' eyes after you have such special experience with your significant other is going to be a level of magic you did not even know that you could unlock. Cannot wait to hear. You'll have to leave us another comment and let us know how that trip went. Are we ready to review?
Absolutely.
So we started with Tiffin's restaurant, an art gallery experience, a signature dining, 2 table service credit meal. It got a mark for Remy approval, Tiana's approval, Edna Mode approval. It did not get a Boo Friendly approval. It got Cinderella and Lumiere Spark approval, giving it an overall grade of an A. The Rainforest Cafe at Animal Kingdom got Remy approval for that variety, did not get Tiana approval for the food quality. It did get Edna Mode theming approval, Boo Friendly, Kid Friendly approval, Cinderella pacing, and it does not hit the mark for a Lumiere Extra Spark, giving it an overall rating of a B. It's fine. B students are absolutely wonderful. Tusker House Restaurant, the character Mickey meal inside Animal Kingdom Park, it got marks across the board. Remy approval, Tiana approval, Edna approval, Boo approval, Cinderella approval, and Lumiere. It hits the mark on every level. Love this meal. A+ from us today. And Yak and Yeti, same thing. No characters here, but so many special experiences and delicious food. So it got Remy, Tiana, Edna, Boo, Cinderella, and Lumiere straight across the board. Also an A+. That is wild. In the other parks we have done, we have had a huge scale of, we've even had some D restaurants. Here at Animal Kingdom, the lowest score is a B. We have 2 A+, an A, and the only reason it's not an A+ is because we encourage you to enjoy it with your significant other more so than with your family. Which is why, to close out that argument from earlier in the episode, this might be the foodie park.
Yeah, when we're saying 75% of the table service meals are an A or A+, how do you argue that? That's
Yeah.
Proof's in the metrics.
Yeah. I'm so glad that we're going to be at Disney World together soon because I cannot wait to eat some of this food now. It's really hard to record. I am the podcast host that lives farthest from the parks, and so sometimes it's really hard for me to record about food that like I don't have any sort of quick access to at all. You know, we're not taking just random weekend trips up. So cannot wait to get there and eat some of this food with y'all. It's going to be so fun. So be sure you're following along because it's going to be so much fun to see us host all together at Disney World. It's going to be great. And we're going to have some interactive things for our Smarties to do on our stories. Maybe you're going to get to make some of our decisions for us. You never know. Just follow along. Make sure you're in our Facebook community and on Instagram at Smart Moms Plan Disney Podcast so you don't miss any of the fun. That's going to do it for us on today's episode of the Smart Moms Plan Disney Podcast. And until next time, we'll see you real soon. And of course, hold on. Sorry, Stacy. When does this episode drop?
I don't have it open. I can look.
I do have it open. Here it is. Sorry, Stacy. I'm lost.
He's going to be happy that like this is going to take no editing at all. Might have been the easiest recording ever.
I know.